What's up, guys? Jason, I'm doing Revolution down here in the cave. It is Sunday. We have ended the responsibilities of the day. It's only like 2:30, 3 o'clock. Hopefully this posts at like 5 or so. Responsibilities for the day are over. That included lawn mowing. That included me going and buying our dinner for tonight. It is not September yet, but I'm in the Sunday dinner mood. From September to Christmas, I make big Sunday dinners. All me, my menu of choice. And today, despite it not being yet September, I decided I want some corned beef and cabbage. That's right. So I hit the town looking for my ingredients. Got them. It wasn't easy. Had to get Liam a haircut today. He's looking good with his skin fade. And mowed the lawn. Then we swam a bit. Dinner's cooking in the crock pot. And now I am ready to do Wrestling with the Past with you kids today. I love Sundays. I love Sundays more in the fall. Sundays in the fall are like the best. The best. Love them. Love the atmosphere. Love the feeling. A couple of things I wanted to show you. Don't worry, the wish book is still here with pen and notebook. So we are beginning the scouring of the wish book. I really want to watch a movie down here. I really do. Even though it's only a 19-inch television, I really want to get that going. I know a lot of you guys want to watch a movie down here with me. I added a couple more things. One is coming from eBay. One I made all by myself. My man's Tom Strickland did this right. He did it properly because he's an artist and he does it well. I just went online and found a template, a picture, and kind of fitted it appropriately. And I made this. I made a Blockbuster video rental case, right? Tom Strickland can turn his into a thing of beauty. Mine, I had to write in my Friday the 13th Part 2 VHS, but I don't care. I just love this. I love the look of it. And you know what? It just sits on top of the TV. It sits right there. So we've got the VHS tape. Now, I got something coming in the mail before we do Wrestling with the Past that I am so excited about. And without shipping, it only cost me $3. I've been looking for this thing. I found a version of this thing many times in the past. This will all make sense when you see it. I'm not going to give it away. I found versions of this thing, but a couple of days ago I found the real thing. And it was $6 with a best offer, right? Like obviously I should just buy it for $6, but I was like, how about $3? And the lady's like, you can have it if you just pay shipping, because I don't know why I even bothered like not tossing this thing out. I don't know if it works, she said. And my response to her was, I can assure you it doesn't work. So it's coming, and I'm going to tell you, when I tell you the backstory on this, and you already have heard the backstory several times, just think 8-year-old me, bedroom, television. That's what I want you to think. Those are your clues. 8-year-old me, bedroom, television. No, it's not a television, but it's in that ballpark. Holy cow, when it comes, it is going to be such a great addition to the TV area of this little living room set. Think on that for a while. I have to clean it. I have to do some mega cleaning. We're going to be using a lot of magic erasers, little toothpicks. We're going to get this thing shiny and new. I might show it to you before it's clean and then show it to you after. But this could be one of the, ready? Listen, this could be one of the favorite items in this room, period, when it comes. All right, Wrestling with the Past. Let's do it. We are at January 12th, I believe. Yes. Well, January 11th was a Friday, and so we've got Tuesday Night Titans on Friday. That's right. The show that was originally on Tuesdays and was originally 2 hours during its first season in 1984, is now 1 hour in 1985, and it's on Friday nights. And they don't call it Tuesday Night Titans anymore. They just call it TNT because it's on Friday nights. So let's get right into it. Now, what I've decided to do is, instead of using stock photos for some of these, when I insert some clips, I just took pictures of what I was watching on TV. Right? It's easy, no big deal. So now you actually see what I see. So TNT starts off with another Hulk Hogan Hillbilly Gym training session. This one, though, is the second training session. So Hillbilly's doing a little bit better. He now drinks down the breakfast without getting sick on it or thinking that it's gross. He now downs it. It's only been a week and he can down the breakfast. And some of his workouts have slightly improved. His bench press is a little less wobbly. His squats are a little better. His cable crossovers, he's still, kind of tying himself up, but then he gets it going, and Hogan's nodding in improvement. What is he nodding? He's nodding in he's impressed. I said he's nodding in improvement. I don't know if that's where. Anyway, a couple of things I noticed here. Hulk Hogan is wearing a Samson's Gym, Rochester, New York t-shirt. What? He's wearing a Samson's Gym, which is in Rochester, New York. So it says Samson's Gym, Rochester, New York. And then later on in the footage, he's wearing the sweats that says Samson's Gym, Rochester, New York. And Samson's Gym is like a big time, serious gym, right? Not your Planet Fitness type deal. It's your basement, big time steroid hardcore gym. So apparently Hogan was in Rochester and worked out at Samson's Gym and got some gear and wore it on the show. And I just flipped out about that. I couldn't believe it. This segment includes Hillbilly Jim back in the ring, but yet there's a third person in the ring. It looks like AJ Petruzzi, the enhancement worker. And Hillbilly Jim, is begging Hogan, I'm ready. And then Hogan says, well, what are you going to do? All you've done is wrestle bears so far, so what are you going to do? And Hogan grabs who I think is Petruzzi and locks him in a bear hug and, of course, almost kills poor AJ Petruzzi. And then apologizes, and they're helping him up. And, oh, my God, Hillbilly, you got to get more control of yourself, that kind of deal. Hillbilly will be debuting in, I believe, 2 weeks. I think next week is the final training session, and then we have Hillbilly in the ring. Hogan accompanies him, and I think it's just like a couple of shoulder blocks and a bear hug, and then Hillbilly helps the fella up, I think. All right. Cool to see the Samson's Gym t-shirt. Our next guest is Sky Low, midget wrestling sensation Sky Low. And basically they're recapping the Butcher Vachon wedding. I looked, and Sky Low, who looks about 85 years old in this, is actually in his 50s during 1985. Young 50s, I believe. Again, we pretty much just recap the Butcher Vachon wedding, and Sky Low talks about it, and then they show a match from what looks like the 60s with Sky Low, and some adult humor, Vince McMahon, that's these TNT episodes. They're if you are listening close enough, there's little innuendos throughout the TNT episodes, and kind of a dead segment there with old Sky Low. Wasn't that great? Next up, we've got a strange segment. The guest is the Masked Executioner. Who's really nobody. I mean, there is no masked executioner really appearing on television regularly. We occasionally get a Mr. X. I think we get the Executioner. It's very random. It's anybody under the mask. There was not a like there was a spoiler, an actual spoiler, who was the same guy every time. But the masked executioner, Mr. X, it was, whoever they could throw out there. So I don't know who this guy is who's talking, but they show Executioner from Executioner versus Tito Santana from a Championship Wrestling episode a few months earlier, right after Tito's leg surgery. It's not the same guy. It's not the same guy. And in fact, after the match, Vince says, I noticed during that match, so your eyes were blue, and here, they're kind of a brown. And the masked executioner says, yeah, because anybody can be under this mask. Yeah, I swear, that's what he said. He gave the whole thing away right there. Anybody could be under this mask. So they just blew it right there. They just threw the whole thing away. I mean, Executioner could have said, well, I like to wear contacts and trick guys and they think it's somebody else. But no, he just says, well, because basically you throw this mask at anybody who's standing backstage and needs to go out and wrestle. Vince, So we get the Executioner telling us how it really is. Next guest is Captain Lou Albano. It's very surreal to see Albano acting subdued. He's still well into his good guy run. They do recap the Roddy Piper slap of Albano a few episodes ago, or last episode I think it was. And but he's subdued but angry. Albano's angry, and he is vowing revenge on Roddy Piper. In fact, he's indicating that he may himself get in the ring with Piper, which we know never really happened. But Albano is dead set on getting revenge, and this is the build-up to the war to settle the score and Hogan versus Piper and MSG, which ultimately leads to WrestleMania. It's happening. I mean, look, it's January 11th. WrestleMania is in March. So the build-up is happening. And then, so that's it for Albano. And then, again, it's only like a 45-minute episode with commercials all cut out and stuff. So this is it. At the very end, they come back. And for some reason, Vince and Alfred Hayes are in a barber shop set. Vince is sitting in Alfred Hayes is sitting in the barber chair, and Vince has clippers, and he's teasing that he's cutting Al's hair because they're saying next week on TNT, professional hairstylist Bobby Heenan will be demonstrating some of his hair cutting skills. I love that. So I think I remember that they have some job guy in the chair, and Heenan just butchers him with the scissors, just like cuts all of his hair off. Because, Heenan's a hairstylist after the job he did on Andre the Giant. So they're continuing to build, upsetting Andre the Giant, insulting him. They probably got that stinky bag of hair next week, all towards the WrestleMania Body Slam, $15,000 Body Slam match, which is coming in 2 months. So fun. All right, next we jump to the next day. The next Saturday is Championship Wrestling 1/12/85, January 12th, 1985. We start things off with Tonga Kid versus a fella named Mike Powers. And this is the first time I've seen Mike Powers. He kind of reminds me of like a Tennessee job guy, a Memphis job guy. I don't know. That was like the first thing I thought of when I saw him. I was like, oh, he's, probably gets beat up on Memphis wrestling. I don't know why I thought that. But Tonga wins with the flying headbutt. Right? Just kind of your lackluster opening match. Next up, we've got Greg Valentine without Lou Albano. Let's see if I mentioned. Yeah, I do mention it. But so we've got Valentine without Lou Albano, there's I've talked to you. I've told you that Tito Santana matches, Sheik and Volkov matches, Greg Valentine matches, for some reason, again, are just a total throwback to WWF Championship Wrestling, Vince, Bruno, Saturday morning. just takes me right back. You know, like these are the guys that just, you know, ignite memory when I see them wrestle. So Valentine is beaten up on Joe Murto, and the announcers do mention that there was a falling out between Greg Valentine and Lou Albano. So that's it for Lou managing Valentine. They had a falling out, right? And Jimmy Hart, I assume, comes in soon. There's a little girl in the audience that has a handwritten sign on notebook paper that says Greg Valentine is ugly. Little girl, notebook paper, sloppily written, Greg Valentine is ugly. The figure 4 wins it for Greg Valentine. We've got a repeat of Hogan and Hillbilly training. It's the same thing that we just saw the night before on TNT. Mr. X, who is not the masked executioner, Mr. X, and R.T. Reynolds, who later becomes Corporal Kirshner, take on the U.S. Express, Mike Rotundo and Barry Windham. I believe that Mr. X in this particular match is Danny Davis, referee Danny Davis. I thought that I had read or heard or something that Danny Davis does have a tattoo right here on his forearm, like an anchor or just something old, like some weird 80s tattoo that dudes would get, like an anchor or something. Which is why I think he wore... Wow. Have we ever seen Danny Davis in short sleeves as a referee? Did he always wear the long sleeve referee shirt? Certainly as wrestler Danny Davis, he had the long sleeve shirt, as to not give away the tattoo. I think I noticed the tattoo on Mr. X. So I think it was Danny Davis. You know, it's Barry Windham and Mike Rotundo. For some reason, most of the time I'm watching Windham and Rotundo, Rotundo is getting the pin with the airplane spin so that they can do the hilarious tag team airplane spin spot where Rotundo is twirling around Mr. X in this case, and R.T. Reynolds comes in to try to stop it and gets kicked by the spinning Mr. X and goes flying out of the ring. I love that. That's hilarious. It's like Three Stooges style stuff. It's hilarious. Windham and Rotundo, again, when does the tag team match happen? And looks like they're only going to be champs for like a couple of months before they lose it to Sheik and Volkov, and then they're out of there. They're gone. You know, so I thought that Windham and Rotundo had a much bigger run. I don't know. We'll see. What else we've got? We've got the Piper's Pit with Adrian Adonis and Dick Murdoch still carrying the tag team champions. And instead of talking about the U.S. Express, the Adonis, Murdoch, and Piper are still talking about the Briscoes. And apparently, and I don't remember this, and I didn't see it, so it must have maybe happened in those last couple of December 84 editions of Championship Wrestling, but the Briscoes pinned Adonis and Murdoch in a non-title match on television, and they're still talking about that. And they're still talking about how the Briscoes are now demanding a tag team title match, which they've had, you know, a bunch. But for the sake of this, they're demanding a title match because they got the pin on TV. And of course, you know, Adonis and Murdoch are saying, no way, we didn't really get pinned. We were both sick that day. We had the flu, and we wrestled anyway and lost. Then Adonis says there are other tag teams in line above the Briscoes, including Frankie Williams and Jose Luis Rivera, which made me giggle at like 11:30 at night. We've got an awesome match up next. We've got Tito Santana versus Paul Kelly. And I've seen Paul Kelly once before trying to kick out of a Junkyard Dog power slam, you know, his finisher. So I was like, okay, well, is Paul Kelly really going to be invited back? He is, and holy cow, what a great match. Paul Kelly versus Tito Santana. It's not a competitive match. It's just Paul Kelly is so good at being a job guy. He's fantastic. He is incredible. He's bumping all around the ring for Tito. He's taking great hip tosses, great arm drags. Tito drop kicks him, and Paul Kelly just great stuff. And then gets in a little bit of offense on Tito. What a great match, because Paul Kelly is so good in his job role. Fantastic. We cut to yet another Don Morocco in Hawaii clip, and I wrote down here, "Come on already." So I assume that I'm, getting tired of the Morocco Hawaii skits. Just bring them back already and let's go. So this one is really short. I mean, we're talking like 20 seconds. I'm coming back, Hulk Hogan, I'm coming for you. And then Mr. Fuji the whole time is just standing there in a tuxedo in the bowler hat and just smiling. And it's like, okay, Morocco's coming back. I get it. He's coming. The match, the show ends with Jim Powers and Aldo Mourinho taking on Ken Patera and Big John Studd. Once again, a beautiful little innocent sign in the crowd. A kid has a sign that says, "Small John Dud." Not Big John Studd, but Small John Dud. And they spelled John Jon. And I just thought that was great. Because that was just a little kid sitting at the dining room table like I did a couple hours before wrestling, trying to come up with a great sign. Their mom and dad aren't helping them. They're doing it on their own, and they're sounding out John. And they're going, J-on. And they came up with Jon. And I love it. Small John Dud poster. Pretty much a manhandling match with Patera and Studd tossing around Powers and Mourinho. And it ends with a Ken Patera full Nelson on poor Aldo, who will later become known as Ricky Santana in other federations. I believe. Or it's Vic Steamboat. It's one or the other. It's Vic Steamboat or Ricky Santana. I think it's Ricky Santana. Let's check. Let's get some bonus footage here. Aldo, Mourinho, Ricky Santana. Okay, so that's that. All right, that's Wrestling with the Past. Up next is, unfortunately, a Maple Leaf Wrestling episode from 112.85, and then a Philadelphia house show from 112.85. So we've got a big weekend. January 12th, 1985 was a big weekend. So our next review will be that Maple Leaf Wrestling show, and then the first house show of 1985, a Spectrum house show from January 12th. That is all. That's Wrestling with the Past. Good night now.